Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. I had a really fun opportunity last week. I got to be a guest lecturer on an art course, and as someone with as great a taste in art as I have, I had a lot to teach these guys. You want to know what makes for great art? Conformity! Where possible, everything should be as uniform as it can be. Because what's the point in creative expression if it won't fit inside of a rectangle? They did not invite me back. You ever wonder why you look at a game box and feel compelled to spend money? Me neither! It's pretty damn obvious. Video games need box art. Without them, how would I know this wasn't a sponge? But with there being so many different video games on so many different consoles, you need a way of being able to differentiate an Xbox One game from something I actually want to play. That's where the Box Art Template comes in. The layout used on each console's respective game box arts that denote which system the game is for. This can be something as simple as the Nintendo Switch's layout, with a red square in the top left corner containing the Switch's logo, and a red spine with white text telling you at a glance what the hell this is. For the most part, all Nintendo Switch games in all regions are this way. Sure, the Americans may prefer their games' titles left aligned on the spine, but they also charge people for getting stabbed. I didn't ask for this, you know. There are of course some inconsistencies, such as some spines using all caps and others using the game's logos just to piss me off. But on the whole, the Switch's game boxes are nice looking, consistent, and inexplicably arousing. Surely, box art templates have always been this way. What the f*** is that? The Nintendo Entertainment System was one of the first systems to truly implement a box art template. I mean, I could talk about the ColecoVision, but why? Atari's box arts on the 2600 were uniform-ish, but it's clear that they kind of didn't give a fucking shit about having a consistent template, because, well, we're Atari! Failure's our middle name. And we earned that. But when Nintendo came along with their Ice Climber compatible Cinder Block, they knew they had to do things differently. They took one look at Atari and said, oh man, we should fuck up too! When the NES launched, Nintendo used the Black Box template for all of the releases on the system. Black background, art in a rectangle, underlined title text, NES logo. This is as bitch as basic gets, but honestly, I think this looks really damn nice. Over in the States, there was a similar template, now with some tubular 80s angling going on, but they replaced the gorgeous art with in-game sprites and squiggles. Later in the system's life, PAL regions would adopt this template for black box games, and if you'll pardon my bad language, this just looks boring. The art used on the PAL versions is so damn nice, and while a lot of games like Kung Fu, yeah, this pixel art is pretty blatantly Kung Fu, but then for games like Mario and Clu Clu Land, what are they trying to communicate here? I really don't think I like the revised black box template. It's fine, it gets the job done, but it just feels pretty soulless in my opinion. Well, good news for my dating life, Nintendo agreed. So, do you have asthma too? No. The black box template would see some variations, such as Metroid and Kid Icarus, which replaced the black background with silver backgrounds to denote something, but once this template had run its course, Nintendo said, sorry, template? No, I don't think we've met. NES games just stopped having a box art template. Donkey Kong Classics, Arkanoid, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania, Final Fantasy, Mega Man, even The Legend of Zelda! I never said when to pardon my bad language. Listen, this art is all gorgeous. even if only in its mother's eyes. But would it have killed them to have some sort of way of denoting at a glance that these were NES games? Later down the line, they'd introduce the red NES header in the States, but is that really worth anything when the line ended 4 steps later? We never even got that header in PAL regions, as far as I can tell, which just left all NES games looking like this. Absolutely fantastic artwork with very little telling you what system the game is for. Hell, on this box art here, the Nintendo Entertainment System logo is really hard to read against the background, with part of it being red and the rest of it being a blue that doesn't exactly allow the logo to shine through. And the worst part is, this is Pac-Man on the NES. So my day's going great! When the Super Nintendo came around, things did start to become a lot more uniform. In the States, they introduced this template: L-shaped black border, dots on the right-hand side, double barrel logo, Nintendo seal of quality. And this would remain their box art template for the system's entire life. There were obviously things that helped each game stand out, such as things overlapping the template, like Ridley on the Super Metroid box and the Starman on Earthbound's box art. And some games even had little slogans on their covers, like Super Mario Kart's "Where Racing Becomes an Adventure." Do they also consider a trip to the Psych Ward an adventure? Here in PAL regions, we tried to replicate this template, but we didn't really succeed. We tried to have the L-shaped black border, this time on the left-hand side, with colourful backgrounds around the rest of the box. We tried having the tagline and the logo and the art overlaps. But then we sometimes said, you know, what if we didn't do that? And tried something even closer to the American equivalent. It's like how the UK does prom now. We should have just stuck with what we were doing. Thankfully, when the Game Boy came along, we finally saw an honest-to-God standard box art template. I never thought I'd be so happy to see a support beam. The Game Boy box art template cuts right to the chase. It's no nonsense, it's simple, it's Yobmag. Oh! The spines for Game Boy games generally do whatever the f they please, but they're cardboard, so they don't have to care about your feelings. You could display it like this, or this, or this, or this. The Nintendo 64 probably features my favorite not plastic game boxes from Nintendo. It's so nice, so consistent, and makes me want to spend so much extra money on cardboard. In the States, the N64's template is basically just artwork, with a translucent red strip on the right-hand side containing the amount of players the game supports, any compatible accessories, and an age rating. And for games exclusive to the console, the top right-hand corner of the box features this only 4 page curl, which is really cute. There were a couple of these on the Super Nintendo, but they were gross. Whereas this just looks really cool if you ask me. The sides of the boxes in the States are each one of the 4 main colours of the N64 logo, with more of the game's art behind them, which gives this template such a fun look about it. And the back of each box has a strip on the left hand side and a yellow background everywhere else, covered by character renders, in-game screenshots, and paragraphs on why you should give a shit about Pilotwings 64. As if the name wasn't enough to tell you that on its own. In PAL regions, we use the same template, but it's arbitrarily different. The artwork on the front has this big black border around it, which is where player numbers and all that stuff is kept. We have a big-ass Nintendo 64 logo at the top, and then the top and bottom sides of the box are black, while the left and right sides maintain the colours from the American version, which is pretty bizarre. This template feels pretty clunky when compared to the American version, in all honesty. But I'm sorry, I vastly prefer this. I don't know why, but having each game's artwork in the same black outline, having their logos proudly presented on the side alongside the N64's logo, and some unique artwork in some cases, it just makes these feel a lot more significant, you know? It's not a perfect template by any means. The lack of consistent alignment on the spine is a bit odd, and the fact that the colored sides feature miles of text seemingly at random, meaning I can't display either of these sides without developing syphilis, does piss me off. And hell, some games, like The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask and Banjo-Tooie, straight up just do not follow this template because f*** your consistency, I'm Banjo-Tooie, bitch! But on the whole, I adore this box art template. The GBAs, on the other hand, this is the very definition of fine. I don't know. The GBA template looks at the Game Boy's template and pretty much just says, yeah! Because it's pretty much the exact same damn thing, just with an extra bit of curvature and 2 more syllables. Because everything is made better by using your mouth more, even plagiarism. This template features more of the fabled overlapping that I'm so very fond of, but then the sides of the box... ew. Why the hell are they all so bad looking? They all feature heaps of text that I just don't care about. I don't need to know this game's age rating. I'm old enough to buy whatever I want. Especially when I have my fake ID on me. Why couldn't just one of these sides house just the game's logo, or something closer to what the N64 does? Now, admittedly, the only boxed GBA game I have is Mario Kart Super Circuit, so for all I know, this may not be a GBA-wide epidemic. But that would piss me off more. Why are you a piece of shit? None of the other kids your age are. Moving on to the DS. Did we? The Nintendo DS, a system famous for having the same box art template as the previous 2 handhelds. You innovated so much with this console, but the box art was where you drew the line? All jokes aside, I'm pretty okay with this design. The plain white background mixed with the DS's logo works pretty well. The spine template is boring as hell, but at least it's uniform. And the front features this black ridge because... Oh, what? You thought I was gonna finish the sentence? Nah, I've got no goddamn clue why that's there. That damn spine, man. In the US, the spine for each DS game typically features their logo on a fun, colourful background, and these look so damn good. But here in PAL regions, we settled on white background, black text, job well done. It's functional, but it's nothing but. Where's the fun? Where's the creativity? When the system itself is as wacky and out there as it is, why doesn't the box art spine at least try to replicate that? And the worst part is, a lot of licensed games said, I disagree with this morally, and feature coloured, logoed spines. Well, I disagree with you morally, wall! This looks so much better. It's not as good as what the States got, but it's better than this. But they're the odd ones out. They f*** with my collection's consistency, so even though they're the better spines, I hate them! I am starting to notice a pattern with Nintendo's handhelds, however. Not only are their spines putrid, but they all also feature... The Virtual Boys box art template. Hope you wanted the Game Boy's template for the 4th time. This is almost the exact same damn thing. Other than the fact that the bottom of the box art has a light grey background that houses the game's logo. And you know what? I actually really like how this looks. In the States, they had this blue sparky design that housed the Virtual Boys logo. And while it's definitely a lot more unique, I don't know if I like it as much as the Japanese version. And here in PAL regions, we got... import tax. Thankfully, the 3DS did eventually shake things up when it came to the box art template, because they... used a different side of the square. Woo! Slow down, Nintendo! We can't handle too much innovation! Alright, as derivative as this design is, I honestly think it's my go-to Nintendo handheld box art template. Yes, I do have a personality. How could you tell? This design is slim enough to not be super intrusive, which allows the box art to really flourish. And with the whole gimmick of this system being the things on the screen coming to get you, there's a lot of overlap going on here, and I love it so much. I do find it weird how this part of the design is on the opposite side of the box from the spine, but that might just be a me thing. The spine more than makes up for it though, as it features the icon that you see on the 3DS whenever you put the game cartridge in. That's so cool! If that little icon is the game's logo and the spine decides to use the logo instead of the generic 3DS text, that can get a little irksome, but that's pretty infrequent. Cherish this, it's rare. Now, the Nintendo Wii's box art template is simultaneously one of the most generic Nintendo designs out there, and one of the most unique. That kind of goes for the Wii as a whole though. How did a stack of blank paper end up being the most unique console of its generation? By having a controller that's censorable. The Nintendo Wii spines are nothing really to write home about. All white, Wii logo at the top, and either generic text or game logo in the middle. Some games, like the Porky games, feature little bits of art in addition to this, which is fairly standard practice in the States. But most cases here settle for just words. But when you flip this case over, what is going on here? This little ridge that contains the Wii logo is so unique. I can't even properly express why I like this so much, but it's just an interesting little quirky design that's so distinctly Wii. Like, yeah, they could have just done a box like the Nintendo Switch or some sort of banner or something, but they chose to use this really cool combination of both. I love it. It's mimicked somewhat on the back of each box too, to tell you how many players the game supports, what controllers, and in PAL regions, whether it supports 50Hz or 60Hz mode, because 60Hz still wasn't a standard for our TVs at the time. I also love it when games like New Super Mario Bros. Wii and Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympics of the world's longest game titles have different coloured cases, as they go all the way with that by making the white parts of the box art template match the case's colour. I wouldn't want, like, every box to be like this, but for the odd title to do it and commit to it so fully is really damn cool. There are also a couple of cases of overlap with this design, like the Mario Party 9 box. Good news, everybody! We found at least one reason for Mario Party 9 to exist. That still doesn't mean it should, but by far my favorite box art template of all time is the same thing twice. You ever notice how the Wii U and GameCube have pretty much the exact same box art template? Well, I did, and I f***ing love it! Let's start with the GameCube. All GameCube games feature this curved header at the top of their box art. All black with a slick grey trim and the Nintendo GameCube logo sitting pretty front and center. Ooh. Then the spine features the GameCube logo at the top against a black background, whilst the rest of the spine is free to use whatever background it feels like, which often leads to an extension of the front box art with the game's logo or generic text plastered on top. Ooh. Then, if the game is exclusive to the GameCube, it features this f***ing delicious indigo half circle, which proudly proclaims only 4. Ooh! This is so damn nice looking. The curves complement each other so well, and the colors contrast each other in such a pleasing way. In North America, they use a triangle design for the only 4 designation, which is also used on the GBA boxes over there. But this just does not compare to the beauty of what we got over here. They also have the GameCube logo on the bottom of the spine, which is admittedly incredibly unique, but I definitely prefer what we got. I totally get why they did that, as it lines up with the little black section at the bottom of the back of the box, which houses all sorts of fun information. And I actually really appreciate the synergy between the back of the box and the spine, because that's something you really don't see very often. But I still prefer the PAL boxes by a mile. There are some stinkers, like WarioWare Mega Party Games, which is all yellow in all the wrong ways. But on the whole, this is as close to perfect as I've ever personally seen a box art template be. And then the Nintendo Wii U features pretty much the exact same design, with a fair few changes to make it distinct. It features the same curved header, this time in a really nice shade of blue, which extends to the rest of the box art and even the case itself. And instead of a grey trim, it has this yellow trim, which is really strange, but really nice looking. The spine then has the Wii U logo against a white background in the same place as the GameCube's, but the rest of the spine is the same delicious blue as the front header, and houses the game's logos or generic texts really well. We have a blue ridge at the top, which is an extension of the front header, which... Ooh. And then, much like the Nintendo 3DS, we have the game's icon sat right below the Wii U logo, which is a really nice touch. Now, the Wii U didn't have any way of denoting which games were released exclusively for it, but they more than make up for that with almost every game having at least some element of the art overlapping here. It's so damn nice looking. These box art templates are absolutely gorgeous, and are honestly the first thing I think of whenever GameCube or Wii U are brought up. They're so packed with charm in my opinion, and they both really help give their respective systems a lot of identity. You know as soon as you see either of these that you're looking at a GameCube game, a Wii U game, and you're probably about to have a pretty damn fun time. And these designs ended up leading to the 2 worst selling Nintendo systems of all time. Man, I adore failure. Yeah. These designs belong to 2 of Nintendo's biggest flops. I'm not saying it's because of the box art template, because that's just ridiculous. But I do find it interesting how the 2 designs I personally feel did the most right was seen by the smallest number of people. Oh, also, in the States, the Wii U spines replaced the blue background with a white background. What the f***? Didn't the Wii U already have enough of a problem distinguishing itself from the Wii without you making the spines of the cases look damn near identical? And even if this wasn't the exact same thing as the Wii, this looks horrible for Wii U, especially considering they still use the blue cases. Now, you may be wondering why I haven't mentioned Japan all that much in this discussion. Well, that's pretty simple. I don't know how. Their box art templates are either the exact same as the other regions, or they're so drastically different they give me whiplash. The DS, for example, features a template that's identical to the States, but then the GameCube has an entirely different form factor. And this little GameCube logo is as close as they get to a template. They also don't seem to like horizontal packaging, which means consoles like the N64 and the Super Famicom feature vertical packaging akin to the original Famicom, which, while undeniably fascinating, is really strange to me. A lot of their more unique designs are basically just a logo in the corner, so they don't really feel all that interesting to discuss to me personally. And also, the Japanese GameCube slipcovers hurt my feelings. In the grand scheme of things, does the box art template of any given console really matter? No, not really. The box art itself is way more important than the template it fits into, and more important still is the quality of the actual game. But the box art template fascinates me nonetheless, and I'd argue is a big part of the system's identity. If a box art template has a lot of synergy with the console's branding and overall feel, then I'm gonna sleep well. They aren't that important, but they're one of my favorite aspects of any console, and my obsession with them has become so overbearing that it's beginning to spill out into other aspects of my life. Like last week, when after I was forcibly removed from that art lecture, all I wanted to do was go home and enjoy some fish fingers, until I realized they don't have a consistent box art template. So do they work on my Game Boy or what?